Hi, you're listening to Art Hard, a podcast about what's hard about art.
I'm Fiona, a layabout with a law degree.
And I'm Jess, an illustrator with birds on the brain.
We're going to chat about adding art to our lives and nurturing creativity.
Here we go.
Art hard, art hard, art hard, art hard, art too cheap to buy a jingle. Art hard, art hard, art too cheap to buy a jingle. Hey, so this is it. Hard, art.
Yeah.
So,
welcome to the wild side.
Welcome to take 2, because I forgot to press record.
Right. Welcome. So
Jess,
how was your week?
Let me do that again. I guess I just want people to know that I did just wake up.
Okay.
And
you have a superpower, which is...
What's my superpower? Oh, I can tell the future. Specifically when it is going to be overcast in the next 1 to 2 hours. If you need that information. And you don't have access to the weather network. If I have a headache, it's probably going to become overcast.
Right. So it's simultaneously your superpower and also your kryptonite.
Exactly. So yeah, I've just been in bed all day because I have this weather headache, and I feel like a giant baby right now. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that was the gist of what I said the first time.
Yeah.
A little bit more succinct.
Yeah, and...
What else did I say? But other than that, my week has been good. It's been I've also been helping my parents to prepare our house for sale, so I've been on my hands and knees painting baseboards for like 4 days straight, and my back really hurts because my parents can't do it because they're like twice as old as me, but I'm also not my body doesn't feel like it used to, so it's a little bit painful, but yeah, no, I'm grand.
I don't even think I can get down there. Like, where baseboards are, I will never be, you know?
Right. Tell me about your week. Again.
Again, once more, my week was... My week was fine. It was just fine. There's really nothing... Like, saying it twice almost feels like... You know?
Yeah. It was fine. That's good. That works.
It was fine. I did the Montreal Comic Arts Festival. It was completely virtual. And so this weekend there was a couple of live things. Like, I was on a panel with a few friends, and then I spoke about sort of my background and my, I'm going to put air quotes around early work. But it was cool. It was fun to, I guess, engage and to be a part of something. Like, usually I would be there on the ground with
your table.
In a booth with my table, but this year it was all online, so due to COVID-19, if you're coming at us from the future. Yeah, and so that was fun, but then, like, Monday, Tuesday, probably even Wednesday, I, like, crashed. Like, I was just exhausted from doing so much work that doesn't have... I feel like usually when I produce things, like, if I put up a bird strip, I get this, like, immediate feedback. Like, I can see what people thought. Like, people comment on it right away. But with sort of virtual stuff, it took away my energy because I didn't get that instant feedback.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know. I've become addicted to the claps.
The claps?
To the... No.
Do you want to take that one again?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I've become addicted to applause.
Oh god. Well, that's a really good foreshadowing for what we were going to talk about today, like feedback and criticism and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we thought we'd sort of structure this into two questions. So do we want to start on the first question?
Sure.
So it's, did you make any creative investments in yourself this week? Time or money or grace or patience or something like that? So please tell me about PrisonHooch.
Well, I have always felt a certain something about making beer and wine. Like, people who do that, who brew in their closets or their basements, like, it's so cool. And I think also, like, there's a creative aspect to it, which is, like, coming up with flavors and just, like, how satisfying it would be to make something that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
That would be kind of a cool thing. And also, it would be cheaper. Like, in Canada, like, alcohol is really expensive. Not that that's a huge incentive to me. I'm more excited about sort of the creative process and, like, making something that I would enjoy.
Yeah, I think, like, both of us have this really, have this sort of drive to, like, provide ourselves with the things we need ourselves. Like, we'll sew clothes and we'll, like,
totally.
Like, remember when you closed Pancake's pen with a spoon?
Yeah.
Like, we just, like, MacGyver stuff, and we want to, like, I went through this whole period where I was making my own makeup and stuff like that. Like, we want to be almost not self-sufficient, but like resourceful, maybe.
I think that's, yeah.
I think both of us have that sort of instinct where it's like, if I need something, I don't want to be dependent on, you know, Walmart or whatever. Like, I want to provide myself. Be able to make it.
And I feel like a couple things about that. Like, I feel like I wonder how much of it comes from the history of Canada, almost. Like, not in, like, a colonial sense, but, like, through the Great Depression, like, my great-grandmother would, like, save thread. And, like, everything was saved and reused. And I feel like that sort of cultural thing gets passed down, you know?
Yeah.
Like, through generations, whether you like it or not. Like, my parents never throw anything out, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, same.
And it's a super noble thing to be able to make something new out of something old, or like to fix something and not have to buy it. But I feel like I can definitely recognize that that's not true for everybody, and that's not true everywhere in the world either. And my second thought about that was, like, I wonder also how much of it has to do with
anxiety.
I don't know if this is a big anxiety, but also, like, there's this weird link of, like, anxiety being able to provide for yourself, but also there's this other part of it where, like, you know, like on Instagram where there's, like, people who have, like, there's, like, a lifestyle blogger thing about it that's, like, has a, like, smacks of a bit of privilege.
Yeah, like, make your own oat milk and make your own almond milk. Just buy, like, 5 pounds of almonds and milk them in your $700 blender.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Yeah. I know, me too, but I am them too at the same time, you know? Like, I hate it and I am it, and that's a really difficult line to walk.
Yeah.
Like, people who have the resources and time to, like, make what they want instead of buy it. Yeah. So there's that element of it, but also, okay, so this brings us back nicely to PrisonHooch, because there's all of this, like, by the book brew making stuff. Like, there's, like, you buy the special carboy with, like, a big bottle thing with a thin neck, and then you buy the special airlock, and you buy the special siphon, and, like, you have all of this stuff, and you buy the special thermometer and the alcohol level detector thing. I don't know, like, there's all of this stuff, but I think this all started when I found the subreddit r/PrisonHooch. And so it's what it is like, people who are just making, like, fermenting anything. Like, a guy fermented a pizza the other day. Like, it was a whole thing. So these people are, like, fermenting everything, like apple juice, like cranberry sauce, like jam, like just, like, anything, and they're doing it in, like, plastic jugs with balloons on top of them with a hole poked in them for an airlock, and, like, it's really DIY and interesting. And so this thing that I've always been sort of interested in, I let myself explore it a little bit by, like, I went on an online shopping spree, sort of, and I found some yeast, like wine yeast, and I bought wine yeast, champagne yeast, and cider yeast.
Whoa.
And I'm just gonna see. Like, it feels really good to let myself do something I wouldn't usually let myself do. Like, I'd be like, oh, that's too impractical, that's too big of a job, or, like, I'm not worth it, or it's not the right time, but I just kind of let myself do it. And I'm just gonna, if now is not the right time, maybe I'll hold on to it, maybe I'll try something, I don't know. So I'm excited to, I don't know, I kind of want to maybe try to make dandelion wine, because the dandelions are out.
Yes.
And also, we have so many cranberries here because my parents pick cranberries in the fall. And so maybe some, like, just a milk jug full of cranberry wine, even though it takes a really long time. But I think like,
I think that would be really like a really satisfying thing to do. Like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I want that to be something that I want to try it. And I think I'm a little bit worried, and this is going to tie into like fear and other people's fear and feedback and critique. Like I'm a little bit worried that this thing of mine will be crushed before it ever gets a chance to become, I don't know. I'm like worried about the way people feel affecting people, the way people around me feel about the things that I do and how that shapes the future, I guess. Yeah. So that was a very, very roundabout way of saying I made a creative investment this week. I'm really excited about it. It hasn't come in the mail yet, but...
When is it coming?
I think like the beginning of June.
Well, that's not far off.
No, it's like so soon.
Okay, so maybe next week you'll have some results.
Maybe. Yeah, like maybe. But so I guess there's this other part of this, like I made a creative investment, but also I feel like maybe because of the artist's way, I've been able to like extend the idea of like quote unquote creativity to sort of cover anything and everything that I enjoy. Like that something in me goes like, yes, like that's interesting and I want to explore it. And I feel like that it's okay to call that creativity.
So like making your own beer and wine as a creative endeavor, as opposed to like just like a practical one that you're not doing for pleasure or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting that you say that. So you're way further in the book, but I like in the very first chapter, she talks about your shadow artist, which is like the artist that you kind of feel like you were always meant to be, that's inside of you. And one of the things that she says is that shadow artists tend to gravitate towards careers that support art, but aren't directly doing art. And so she said, like, she used as an example, like an agent for an artist or like a digital design or whatever. And it was like so strange to me that I just felt like she was being a little bit like reductive maybe. And like, if you're like a designer of some sort, surely that's art. And
right.
I don't know, like...
yeah, that does sound like art, doesn't it?
It does to me, and like... And then that brought up the huge question for me of like, wait, what actually is art? And what are the confines of what we're talking about? Because like, are we talking about a really huge swath of human experiences, basically? Like, so that's a really interesting question. Like, how far do we extend?
Yeah.
But then, yeah, and then you have been saying like, is creativity just anything that, well, I'm going to put words in your mouth. Is creativity anything that gives me a certain feeling of creation? Whether that be making your own clothes or making your own almond milk or making your own PrisonHooch.
Right.
And if we can talk about those things, then I think that's also really interesting. And so I just, like, my initial reaction to week 1 was like, oh, I feel kind of like restricted by her idea of art. But then maybe that's just a quick impression that I got that doesn't like play out in the rest of the book, but we'll see.
Yeah, it might. I think also like it's tempting to read something and be like, wait a second, I don't agree with that. And then maybe this whole thing is garbage and,
oh my God.
You know?
Okay, so having been an academic person for my whole life, when I read something, it's because I have to probably critically analyze it. And so I'm trying to like read stuff to learn and read stuff for pleasure. And I'm like, I don't really like this aspect of it. And I think this is contradictory in this way. And I think this is, limiting in this way. And oh God, I just want to stop.
Right. And I feel like it impacts it so much, like, because then you can throw away the whole thing.
Yes.
Which I feel like is not useful. Like, you definitely can. But I was going to go on to your creative investments.
So I my creative investment this week was giving myself a day away from the internet.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which I haven't done. And I haven't done it in years, like maybe never.
Wow.
And it wasn't even a full day. It was like 10 hours. But
hard.
Yeah. So my aunt and my mom owned this little cottage like 2 hours away near Ottawa. And it's a cottage. Like, there's no bathroom. There is running water, but like it tastes funny, and like it's really
rustic.
It's rustic, exactly. And I love it, and it's been like my favorite place in the world since I was a kid. And I had a wonderful visit with my aunt, and then I spent like maybe an hour and a half just like sketching things from photos, because I'm terrible at like sketching something from real life, because I'm like, it's so hard. It's like, what even is depth, and like what I don't know. That is so difficult. But I had like some photos on my phone of my aunt's dog, and I like sketched her 2 sketches of her dog and gave them to her.
Aww.
And it was like, it felt really good, because I love drawing, and it's probably like my favorite thing to do, and it's also the thing that I do the least.
Wow.
Because there's so much, there's like a big barrier for me, I think, with sketching in particular, because I feel like it's the hardest thing like it's easiest for me to see my mistakes, I think. And like when you're sketching with a pen, like not a pencil, sketching with a pen, it's like you make a mistake and there it is.
Yeah.
And you can't paint over it, you can't like remodel it, like it's there. And so I just said to myself, like, I'm gonna take this whole day, and I got 1 hour of art out of it, and it felt so good. Like, it was a really nice day. But I'm still at this point where, like, in order to do the thing that is really hard for me, which is sketching, I have to literally remove myself from my life, and like I have to like take away my phone and my computer, and I have no internet, and I'm there with one person who will leave me alone. Like, it's just so very clear to me that, like, while that was a really lovely experience, it's like going to maybe I shouldn't say this, but I would say it's like going to like fat camp, where it's like you lose weight because you're in this exceptional circumstance, and you're not having to deal with real life at the same time.
Right. Because real life, when it comes into play, it's like there's too many variables.
There's too many variables, but I was able to do it at the cottage, but like that was on like Monday or something, and then I haven't picked up the pen since then. So like, I think it was a good start for me. Like, it was a good sort of like jump into the deep end. But like, it's almost like if it were like a graph, there'd be this like times that I have sketched, and it would just be like a flat line at the bottom, and then like a huge spike on one day, and then a flat line. And what I want forever. It's like once a year I draw something, and to me it's like the best experience ever. Like
you love it
I
so much.
love it so much. And I do it like once a year. Like in this sketchbook, the previous drawing was a sketch of my face, and it was from 2018.
Wow.
So that shows you the last time I drew something. So like I want to like even it out.
Right. It sounds like what benefited you about this was the constraint.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, I don't want to be like, studies have shown, but like studies have shown that like creativity like thrives under constraint.
Yeah.
Like if you just have a blank page and you have all day, like it's just empty. But if you have a blank page and you have 20 minutes, or if you have a blank page and you're like, I'm going to do 10 sketches of this photo that I have, or I'm going to sketch as much as I can. I'm going to fill this entire page as fast as I can in 20 minutes. Like, I wonder if saying, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to set a timer, and for that 20 minutes, I'm not going to look at my phone. Yeah. Because we can all hold back for 20 minutes, right? Like, I feel like that has really helped me when I've been stuck. But I think you can, because then you can go, you know what? Like, after 20 minutes, I can look at this all I want.
I think that's a
so I wonder,
good next step.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good way of, like, recreating the cabin for you.
Yeah. And speaking of constraints, I wanted to update you on the clay situation.
Okay, let's hear it.
The situation is, so I had said that, you know, I bought all this stuff to make earrings, and I spent a ton of money on it, and then I felt all this stress because I felt like I had to make my money back by selling my work. And so my plan was to just make something that I was going to give to somebody. So because I was like, I was avoiding it because I knew that I wanted to sculpt my aunt's dog.
Right.
And I was avoiding it because I was like, that sounds really hard. That's going to take, I need to set aside like 5 hours to make this dog.
I mean, a whole dog.
A whole dog. And so I took a page out of your book and I set my timer for half an hour and I made a dog in half an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did it. And I'm really proud of myself. And I'll send you a picture.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think like you can tell it's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
4 legs, tail.
4 legs, tail. It's got a head with some floppy ears on it. It, you know, like it looks like a dog. It's not, and I don't want to sit here and be like, it's shit. Like it's not shit, but like, it's not great either. It's not great, but I am going to, I'm going to be done with it. Like I'm done.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Yeah, and it feels really good.
I'm proud and inspired.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, it feels really good to be like, that isn't perfect, but it's done. And I'm going to bake it and I'm going to send it to my aunt. And I'm not even going to, because my first thought was like, I'm going to send it with a note that says like, I made this in half an hour and that's why it's shit. But I don't want to do that because I just want it to like be what it is and just be like, here, I made you this dog. And if, and she's not going to think it's shit. Like I'm sure that she'll be very happy with it.
Oh man.
And I don't need to like preempt anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks. So yeah, I feel like, and you know what? Without this podcast and without knowing that I was going to talk to you about it in a week, I sure as shit would not have done it. So this has been really helpful so far.
Good. Some accountability.
Exactly.
I think that thing that you said about not preempting something and just like letting it be what it is instead of telling somebody what it is.
Yeah.
Or like instead of saying like, this was supposed to be this, but then it came out like this and that's why it's this. Like instead of explaining. I've been working with that idea too.
Yeah.
I think like the other day I posted a sketch or a drawing. I think we talked about this. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast because I'm sure that I did it after.
Yeah, it was after.
But I posted like a picture that I had drawn of myself and I was so inclined because it's not pretty. Like it's kind of cute, but it's not like
so cute.
It does not look like the photo that I drew it from because faces are notoriously difficult for not just me, but for everyone, except for you, actually, you know, I think, because there was one thing you're like, I've only painted, so I think when we like first met or something, I don't know when you showed me this, but you're like, I've only ever painted one thing in my entire life. And then you pull it out and it was like basically a photo perfect picture of you. And then also a photo perfect picture of Mitch. So you did
those two portraits. I had like
and
two.
They look exactly like you and Mitch. Like I don't know.
It's because I spent 6 hours on each of them, like hunched over.
That would take me 30 days, you know? Like so portraits are notoriously difficult for me and for many people, not everybody. But I also feel like it's a sore spot because there's something embarrassing about making something and like it doesn't look like the person or you missed some sort of like there's something so fundamentally like I shot and missed.
Yeah.
Like it's a painful thing. So I posted this thing and I didn't explain it even though I almost said this doesn't look like me. I swear to God I'm much cuter than this. But I didn't say that. I just was like, this is a sketch that I drew of a picture that I shared in my talk at the Montreal Comic Arts Festival. And then I got some feedback that was...
in quotation marks, feedback.
Yeah, feedback that... I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about this, but like...
Okay.
like, I got feedback that said that it was bad, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to talk about that because I don't want to like string somebody up for it.
Okay.
But I just want to collect my thoughts because, man, what you said about seeing seeing something for what it is is like so important. Yeah. This is kind of silly, but I was reflecting on this today, and I want to read maybe what I wrote about it.
Do it.
And I've been thinking a lot about like the enthusiasm of others versus like a fear or like a feedback response. And I think if I share something with somebody and then their feedback is like negative, and I was just learning like it's like a finished product or not product, but like it's a finished piece, and I have made it, I've put a lot of like love and energy into it, I've been excited about it, and I've produced this thing, and then someone says, oh, like that's not quite right, or like that's a little bit harsh, or like you know, like they have this feedback, it really sucks the wind out of my sails. And I feel like everyone I assume is quite sensitive in like these early stages of learning, right? Like
so sensitive.
And like for faces, I've been so excited and interested in drawing faces, but I'm getting to the point where I don't know if it's because I'm not resilient, but like I'm like, it seems like I've been working at this for a while, for probably a year. I'm not getting any better. The feedback that I get is sort of weighing on me almost. And so like, what's even the point? Like, this just isn't for me. I'm never going to get it.
Maybe. I mean,
but that's what it feels like.
Okay,
like, it feels like when you get that feedback, it's like, I feel like it's really easy to stop doing. And like, I don't know if this is going to make any sense, what I wrote, but I think the idea of seeing it for what it is and not what it looks like. Because
and
some things look rough.
Not like comparing it to what you drew it from, basically, or what its inspiration was. It's now its own thing, and that's what it looks like. And
what it is something that you made with your hands that was filtered through your eyes and through your brain, down through your hands. Like, that's what it is. Like, it has been touched by you.
Touched by an angel.
Aw. But I think, like, I had this idea of today that when you encourage something, if someone brings you something that they made, like if you brought me that dog and I encourage you and I say, like, I see it for what it is, it becomes practice. Yeah. Which is interesting because, like, it becomes practice because you move on to do other things.
Exactly.
But if I meet you with criticism, it turns into like a final work, like a rough, maybe not to speak ill of your dog, but like to speak ill of like my own work, like that has been stomped on. Like, it becomes this rough, ugly, incomplete final work.
And then in your mind, it's like that's all you can do because that's all that you have done.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So like the power of encouragement is so profound.
Absolutely. I so agree. I am so sensitive to criticism in all areas of my life, like not just art. Like if I have even like an inkling that somebody doesn't like something that I've done, then I'm just like, oh, I need to get away from this whole situation right now and go cry, basically. Like very, very, very poor at handling criticism. And I mean, I also told you that like the little girl that you drew was the cutest thing ever and that she stole my heart. And so it's interesting that like and I mean, we know this already, but like criticism weighs heavier than positive encouragement does, I think. Like if you get like, however, like 2,000 likes or whatever, I don't know how many likes you get on that photo, and people say, oh, how cute. And I, somebody who, like I know you, like, right. I'm like your friend. I say, that little girl stole my heart. I loved that drawing that you did of that little girl. But then somebody else says to you, that is bad in so many words. It's like, that's the thing that stomps and it isn't unstomped by the positive stuff, I don't think. Right. Or like, it's very difficult to unstomp once stomped.
I feel like that is so true for anything you can stomp.
Yeah.
Like, like you can't unstomp a flower. You can't unstomp a piece of paper. You can't unstomp, like... Yeah. I feel like it's a perfect metaphor. Yeah. And like, it makes me think of like the power of the opposite. Yeah. And like, I also think of like when people have come to me with writing. Oof, I had like a really interesting insight about criticizing and like the way that criticism, this was really hard to put a finger on. Mm-hmm. I think, but like the idea that like, I'm just thinking of times when people have given me writing to critique.
Yeah.
Like if Greg gives me a blog post that he's going to post, I go in hot. Like, I'm not like the best editor, you know? Like I feel like I'm just thinking of the times where I should have encouraged and didn't, mm-hmm. and like the impact that has had, mm-hmm. and like what it means, like why people criticize, like what it means for you to for me to show up with my kid that I drew and for someone to stomp on it is like they're being harsh with it because
like what are they trying to do to / for you?
Yeah, and like it is somehow dangerous for my thing to just be what it is, because if my thing can just be fine like it is, mm-hmm. then it means something about their own blocks and their own work.
Yeah.
Like if my work is good enough, then it means that they have been like sabotaging themselves for no reason almost.
Oh, totally. Okay, that just blew my mind a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Like if you see something that somebody else is happy with, despite it being like maybe not what you would consider
good enough,
then it's like, why have I been holding myself to some like perfection standard when that's not how it has to be?
Right. So I think that, but I also think of like times when I've given my work over to be edited and it has been like profoundly improved. Like whenever you edit my work, like it like comes out like shining, like just this glistening, sparkling turd of like whatever it was, you know, or like it'll completely change my thesis, or like if Greg edits my work and he's like, this doesn't really make sense, like argue it maybe differently, or like I feel like those have been profoundly useful, but I feel like there's this difference. Maybe it comes in when it's like, if you're showing someone before you publish something or before you're finished it versus
exactly, because once you've published or posted, it's like, I have decided that this is good enough.
Right.
And then somebody else says this isn't good enough. It's like, well, too late.
Yeah.
I guess I suck.
Yeah. Totally. Like it, man, I don't know. It's powerful. It's a powerful thing.
It's so powerful. And I'm really lucky in that when I show people my art, I show it to people who know that I have trouble doing art. And so they're like, gotta encourage her, gotta say it's really great. And so like, I haven't come up against criticism in that way. And also like, I don't post my things online, so like there's no like trolls or whatever being like, it sucks. So I don't have that experience yet, really.
I think The Artist's Way talks a bit about like choosing who you share your work with almost. Like, I feel like that might have been chapter 2, because I just reread it when I was reflecting on criticism. And I think, like, chapter 2 is, like, be careful to protect yourself from people who
are also blocked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you show your work to somebody, yes, I remember, if you show your work to somebody who is blocked, then they will try to keep you blocked. Because they want, it's like crabs in a bucket. They want you to stay with them because then it's okay to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
So real.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough. It was a really cute little girl.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thanks. I started to draw it again, and I like, because of the criticism, basically, I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, I knew that was ugly when I drew it, and they confirmed that it was ugly. So now I need to like redeem myself, but I like couldn't even get through the drawing. Like I put down the pen. I'm only halfway through, and
that's good.
Well, like I feel like before I would have just been like, yeah, this is it. I'm moving on. I can move on. I'm free. I don't need to be stuck in this loop of whatever it is, trying to make it perfect before I can move on. Because I think it's so important to move on. Yeah. You know, like, can you imagine if you got halfway through that dog and you were like, okay, it's time to stop. and then you never picked it back up again. Like, you wouldn't be able to move on because you haven't finished the project to be good enough, you know?
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about, I'm really paying more attention to now when I like bring something up or like have some sort of idea or input, and like who I, like what happens when I share it, what is the reaction, and then maybe like, it's like being met with resistance instead of being allowed to explore and play almost, and not being able to trust that I'm going to come out okay. Like I feel like all of these things have really had a big impact on like me being able to actually trust myself
that is
to
exactly
make good decisions.
What I was going to say. That's so cool. I was going to say that it sounds like it's really just about like you pipe up with an idea and somebody says, "Oh, you're going to die if you do that." Or like they really stomp on it for however they do. It's about trusting yourself in your decision and what you want and what you're interested in, and just like, yeah, that person has a lot of baggage about life in general, and I'm not going to die.
And it's like trusting myself to have good ideas or not, or to know when an idea is good. Like, man, am I ever coming back to that? Like, I never know what ideas are good enough to follow through on, because every idea I've ever had has been like, are you sure? That doesn't seem like a good idea. I want to hear about showing people my art is not showing off.
So it's from
that was such that was a theatrical sigh in a good way.
So in week 1, they get you to write out these affirmations, and then you're also supposed to write out the blurbs, the like negative thoughts that just like fall out of your mouth when you're trying to say something good about yourself. Like if you write down like, I am a good artist, and then your blurb is like, in what world? Like, then you get those blurbs and you turn them into their opposite, and then that's your own custom positive affirmation.
Right. In this world.
In this world, I can be a good artist, basically. So like one of mine was that I created from one of the exercises in this book was showing people my art is not showing off. And I've written down, this is my most uncomfortable self-affirmation, because every time I write it down, I'm like, that's not true. You are lying to yourself right now. And it's like, it's not like if I sketched my aunt's dog and then I showed it to her and she was like, oh, it's so lovely, I love it. Like that to me is fine, because I, like I said earlier, like I basically show who I trust not to stomp. But I have not been able to put my work anywhere public. So like I had this idea, like I would start doing creative projects. I would start drawing and painting and sculpting and whatever, and I would put them in an Instagram, and just like the idea would be, look at my bad art and watch it improve over time if it does, right? Like I think it would be interesting to have all in one place, like pictures of what I've done in order, and see how my work changes and how it improves and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but like, I would want that to be like a public thing, but I just haven't done it. And I'm scared, like I'm terrified to show my work to anyone who isn't like my mom, basically, or like you, or like Mitch. So like, like my closest friends who are just going to pump me up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I show it to anyone else, first of all, I'll get criticism that I can't handle. Second of all, I will be, in their eyes or in my eyes, I'm not quite sure, I will be an egotistical narcissist who thinks that everyone should pay attention to her shitty art.
I still remember getting criticized when I started posting. Like I posted something on Reddit, big mistake. But like I remember the comments that I got like when I was just starting.
Reddit,
and it was so painful. It's difficult. I think it wasn't wasted. Like I think it was good that I did, ultimately. But like Greg had to tell me like what people say doesn't matter. Like he told me that so many times, and now I believe it. Like now I actually believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I kept thinking, like, I had to respond to all these trolls, but, like, he was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't, none of that matters. Just, like, keep going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, also,
go ahead.
What do you think is different about you, like, between you and other people who share their art? Like, why aren't those people narcissistic?
No, I've asked myself the same thing. I'm like, do you think that Jess is an egotistical narcissist for posting her art? And I'm like, no.
Just hitting a nail right on the head.
I mean, kind of, but no, like, it's in no sense do I feel that way about you. And it's so strange that I feel it about myself. And it's like, maybe because, like, I have this fear that I just am very self-centered. And so it's like this fear that I will get external confirmation of this like thing that I deeply, deeply hope isn't true. So...
But, like, it's so interesting, like, where did you get that message?
I don't know. Like, why do I
Because there's so much shame in it. Like,
I know.
Of being, like, who told you, when you stepped out, who told you, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Or, like...
Nobody. Like, nobody has ever said that to me. And maybe it's because I've always been afraid of stepping out. And so I've never done it. So, like...
Did you ever watch somebody step out and then be told?
No. No. I feel like I'm trying to, like, dig for something and there's, like, nothing there. I don't know.
What does it mean for you to be narcissistic?
Like, okay, so here's...
If that was true, what does that mean?
Here's what I think I can, like, be more precise. I feel like people will look at what I've done and I think that it has to do with, like, attention. They'll look at what I've done and be like, oh, she's trying to get attention with this. And, like, people will think I'm, like, an attention whore or whatever. And, like...
Has anyone ever called you that?
No. I guess, you know, it could be that, like, that is something that I just, like, dislike in other people. And I feel the seed of it in myself. And so That's
why we dislike things in other people.
Yes, exactly. Because I feel the seed of it in myself. And then, like, I don't, you know, like, I'm not, I do, you know, you see that in other people, like, on certain things on, like, social media. And, like, well, basically that's the only place. But, like, you see somebody posting something and you kind of roll your eyes and you're like, okay, that could have stayed on the drawing board. Like, not art, but maybe like selfies? A selfie. I also have, like, a huge hang up about selfies. It's kind of like, why are you doing this if not for attention? And likes. And it's like, I guess I don't respect that, or like because I feel the desire for that myself, it's like this jealousy that's bubbling up in, like, disrespect. Yeah. Ooh, that's what it is. I think.
Is jealousy?
Jealousy.
Oh man, that's that comes huge in week 7.
Oh yeah.
And she says jealousy is a map to things that you really want.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a powerful idea, because then you take that jealousy and you go, okay, well, what can I do to take a step towards getting that for myself?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you want so badly, like, this, to put yourself out there in video form. Like, you're funny. Like, you want to do videos and be funny. And so seeing people doing that is triggering because you haven't been doing it almost.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, and it's almost like as simple as, like, when somebody posts, like, a cute selfie and then somebody posts underneath, "You're so beautiful." And I roll my eyes because it's like, I want somebody to tell me I'm beautiful.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a big moment.
Yeah, I think so.
And I also think, a la The Artist's Way, the way through that particular thing, that jealousy thing, is to do it. Like, jealousy requires action. Mm-hmm. And so, which is really cool because that's a clear path forward.
Yeah. That's something, like, so did you say it's week 3?
I think it was like week 7.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It just punched me in the face the other day.
Okay. So. Recently. Okay. So I still have a ways to go before I get to that, but I will keep that in my pocket. And and think about that. Because, yeah, I'm just like, I'm jealous of the attention that other people get for posting their art. There we go.
Whoa! I feel like you know when you like come across something that's true and it feels really good to finally get to the truth?
Yes.
Dude.
You therapized me. You did it. You asked the right questions. That was so cool.
Holy
shit.
So then what does that mean for this week?
For this coming
like
week?
what does that mean for like reflecting on what actions you could take?
I don't know, because like is the next step like find ways to get attention? Because I can do that.
But I don't know, like I feel like maybe the next step is putting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like,
oh, you know what? Because remember how I said I was going to film a video by the end of May?
Yeah.
So I have
3 days?
No.
What day is today?
It's the 29th. I have 2 days.
Oh, okay. Doesn't May have 31 days?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I'm 29. Like at the end of my day.
Oh, you're at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like supper time and then bedtime.
Yeah.
So I have 2 more days. So what I could do is like really push to move forward on the film project. Mm-hmm. Or, it's not a film project. That's so, fuck, it is a film project. It's a very short film. Is to move forward on that and actually like fulfill my goal, which was to film it by the end of May.
Amazing.
Because that's a way that I'm putting myself out there in a huge way.
Yeah, a huge way that's really actually important to you.
Yeah. Woo.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So that's some good underlying motivation.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Oh.
Here's somebody coming.
Yeah. There he goes. Yeah, no, I think that's really good. You know, the thing about like narcissism and likes and attention seeking is interesting because like on the panel the other day for the Montreal Comics Arts Festival, like Jackie said something really interesting about like on days where you like know who you are and you're really confident and comfortable, she like doesn't matter, you post something and then like people like it or they don't, like it doesn't matter, you're like I don't need anybody to do this. But then on other days when you're like I need somebody to tell me who I am. Yeah. So you like post something and you're like refresh for all the like I feel like that's a very common experience is like needing that sort of affirmation almost.
Yeah.
It seems like work is beginning in my office.
Okay. So should we wrap it up and say goodbye? Is somebody dragging a tarp?
You know, I don't know.
It sounds like you don't really have your space anymore.
It's true. Yeah, my time is up. So, on that note.
On that really helpful note, thank you.
Yeah.
For digging that out of me when I was like, there's nothing there. But then turns out, yep, there's something there.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad. It feels so good to see you know? Yeah. You're welcome. Anytime.
Okay.
Well, good talk.
Good talk. Deep talk.
Yeah, deep talk.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay.